out, just give you a quick briefing on some of the issues that we've addressed, obviously, over the last 2 days. I would say it's been an unusually productive and busy meeting for our spring meeting, but it has been very productive. Starting with the competition committee, and Troy and Rich are here, but I know you saw the rule changes we made last night. We think the kickoff change is a really positive change to make the play better, more exciting, and safer for our players. And we think that's a very positive change, and we thank a lot of the special teams coaches around the league that really were instrumental in making those changes. In addition, we had a resolution that confirms that replay will be involved with any ejections from a game in the 2018 season. Again, something that I think clubs wanted, officials wanted also, to make sure that we get it right. As you know, I was out here yesterday on the Panther sale to David Tepper. We're excited to have David in the league, and he has been sitting in the room, and we look forward to having his leadership of the Panthers going forward. This morning we had the events committee make a recommendation to the membership. We awarded Super Bowl 57 to Arizona. Congratulations again, Mike. And Super Bowl 58 to New Orleans. In addition, we also awarded the 2019 draft to Nashville. As you all know, we've had a great deal of interest in hosting the draft. We are only going to do it for 1 year so that we can continue the learnings and continue to figure out how we continue to build this event that has really become the highlight of the offseason, certainly for us, and we think on the sports calendar. We also had a report from our security committee, from Chief Lanier, who's head of our security. She made a very important presentation with respect to our fan security and the best practices that we want to have in all of our stadiums to ensure that our fans have a good experience when they come to our stadiums. Lastly, we had a great deal of focus on the social justice issue. We amended agreement that we passed in March with respect to matching funds on the club level. So the players would put money up, clubs would match that fund, and then the players and the owners would work together to make those changes in the communities that they feel strongly about. And that would be a club-by-club decision. We had an update on that, in addition, from several clubs about how well that's working, ideas that clubs were sharing with one another, and we're very proud of that platform. We think it's unique in its nature, and we also think it's incredibly powerful and will help us support our players to make sure we're making the changes in the community that they feel so strongly about and have given us a deeper and better understanding of. Last is we made modifications to our anthem policy. We did that this morning after a great deal of discussion yesterday, again this morning. It was unanimously adopted by the clubs. Several owners are here. They're going to give you their perspective. But from our standpoint, this is a great opportunity to continue that partnership with our players and keep the focus on the progress and the programs that we think are so important in the communities. We're proud of that support, and we think that that's how change is really going to be made. Clearly, our objective as a league and to all 32 clubs, which was unanimous, is that we want people to be respectful to the national anthem. We want people to stand. That's all personnel, and make sure that they treat this moment in a respectful fashion. That's something that we think we owe. We've been very sensitive in making sure that we give players choices, but we do believe that that moment is an important moment and one that we are going to focus on. So I'll stop there and let Mr. Bidwell, I think, start.
Hello again, Michael Bidwell with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm also among the other committees that I serve on. I'm a member of the Social Justice Working Group with the Players Coalition, so we work on a lot of important social justice issues. But my perspective is, as the Commissioner said, I think putting the focus back on the game, making sure all personnel stand on the field and honor the flag, the anthem, and the moment. And so I think it's been a good discussion internally with coming up with this policy. And it's a league-wide policy that clubs on a club-by-club basis will be able to enforce with workplace rules. So that's a little bit of clarity. It is a league-wide policy. So look forward to getting the focus back on football and getting back to football in 2018.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Haslam with the Cleveland Browns, and also have the privilege of serving on the Social Justice Committee with Michael and several other owners. And of the owners standing up here, I think I'm the newest, and I can tell you, I told Roger last night, of the meetings we participated in since becoming an owner, this is by far the most thoughtful and thorough discussion we've had. All 32 owners spoke up, or their representatives. We talked for 2 hours yesterday and an hour today, and I think throughout this process, all of us as owners in the league, Roger and the NFL, have grown much closer to our players as we work through this process. I know we've been actively involved in Ohio in several areas of criminal justice reform, and have gotten our players involved too in helping them understand the political process and helping to cause change. And I think the solution that we have come up with is a good one, and as Roger and as Michael said, I think it'll now allow us to all focus back on football, which is what we want to do.
I'm Mark Murphy, president of the Green Bay Packers. I would reiterate what's been said. I thought our discussions over the last couple days have been very, very positive. We talked a lot about, I think we learned from each other, had different viewpoints, but came to a unanimous consensus. We also talked a lot about our players and how this would impact them. And we wanted, as you look back at last year, last fall was difficult, I think, for all of us within the league. But one of the real positives that came out of it was the improved relationship between management and the players. And I think that's been a real positive. We want that to continue to move forward. And we have tremendous respect for our players. And you look, and I think you also have to put this in the context of looking at just over the last year or two, what the league, the clubs, and the players, how working together, some of the great progress we've made on the underlying issues that the players were protesting, and really making a big difference in their communities on social justice issues.
Art Rooney, Pittsburgh Steelers, and as has been said, I think we've spent a lot of time, really not just at this meeting, but really over the last year, discussing the subject of the anthem and working with our players to try to make sure we could get to a place where all the different viewpoints could be respected. And I think we've come out at a place that we as a group in the league are comfortable with. Obviously, we want to continue to work with our players and make sure that they feel that their point of view has been respected. I think the fact that those who are not comfortable standing for the anthem have the right to stay off the field. So we're not forcing anybody to stand who doesn't feel that's within their the way they feel about the particular subjects. But those who are on the field are going to be asked to stand, and I think that we've listened to a lot of different viewpoints, including our fans, over the last year, and I think this policy attempts to come out in a place where we respected everybody's point of view on this as best we could.
Okay, at this time we'll take a couple questions. We do have microphones. First question, Derek, I'll your say today.
Hey, Roger, a two-part question here.
You always have two questions on you, Jared.
What happens if a player decides to come on the field and decides to kneel nonetheless, despite the policy? That's the first part of the question. Then the second part, the NFLPA has come out and said that it will fight against this policy. What do you say to the union leadership, and why perhaps you didn't better engage the union in striking this compromise?
Well, Jared, anything I have to say to the union, I'll say to them directly, and I do that all the time. So I'll be more than happy to do that, but I will do that to them directly. But there's been incredible engagement with the players on this. We've talked to tens, if not hundreds, of players about this over the last year or so to get their input, to understand their positions, and again, to respect those, as I think was stated here. Your first part of your question was what
If-
happens if anyone is on the field and is disrespectful to the anthem or the flag. There would be a fine from the league against the team. The team will have its own work rules, will be consistent with the overall policy, and they will make their own decisions about how to manage that from there on the club level.
Mark Maskey, Washington Post.
Roger, given the way the policy is structured and worded, is it your expectation out of this that this will end all protests by players during the anthem on the sideline? Or is there, in your mind, is there leeway there if a particular owner or a particular club decides that they want to allow that?
No, not from a club. And as I think was said before, all 32 clubs want to make sure that during the moment of the anthem and the flag, that is a very important moment to all of us as a league, as clubs, personally, and to our country. And that's a moment that we want to make sure is done in a very respectful fashion. And that was something that was very strongly held in the room. We think that we've come up with a balanced process here and a procedure and policy that will allow those players who feel that they can't stand for the anthem to stay in the locker room. And there's no penalty for that, but we are going to encourage all of them to be on the field. We'd like all of them to be on the field and stand at attention.
Jonathan Jones, Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Roger. Who's the arbiter of respect for the flag? What would be considered disrespect for the flag and the anthem? And why would the league and the owners kind of willingly attempt to police something that is subjective like this?
Well, I think the general public has a very strong view of what respect for the flag is in that moment. We have language in our policy that talks about that, standing at attention with hats off and focused. And I think the general arbiter will be the clubs and the league, and we'll work with our players and get their viewpoint also. Okay, I've got to get back into the meeting, so with all.
Hey, Roger. Joe Person, Charlotte Observer.
Yep.
There was a former Panthers female employee recently told Sports Illustrated, characterized the Jerry Richardson investigation as a farce because the league was, the independent investigator was not giving any protection on the non-disclosure agreements, and she didn't feel free to speak to the investigators because of that. How would you respond to that characterization? And then how will this investigation go forward now that Jerry's no longer here?
Two things. One is Mary Jo White is highly respected, the greatest integrity, and she would not be involved in anything that's a farce. She has her own procedures and policies. We're going to allow her to complete her job, and when she's completed her job, then we'll take it from there. Okay?
Thank you very much. We'll conclude.